when I started business and realized that Starbucks had developed their own language, well, I was like, well, two can play at this game. So I started developing my own language. I started developing a very specialty branded menu. What is going on? This is another episode of the Julius Files. And today we're doing Q and JP. And I like to say it's JP because it's the Julius Perspective, because I'm just here to give you perspective, not give you answers. It's about accountability. You need to find your own answers so that when you make decisions off those answers, you own your own shit. I'm just here to give you a little bit of my perspective. I am here today with my co-hosts, the Demi-Galactic,
just call her the goddess.
The goddess. That's there. Trish is here. The galactic demi-goddess. Okay. And Mr. Bradshaw, Matt Bradshaw, Master Blaster, and the Rebecca. Said, oh, they see she wants to present herself as just all nice, but you're gonna no. I'm fine with it. Let's stick with the nice part.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
Yeah, you gotta. No. But you gotta get up on the mic. I gotta get you. No, I purposely moved the mic forward to actually.
Yeah, no,
so
we hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
We hear you.
Okay, so in the Q and JP, I let them ask me questions so I can give my perspective. But before we actually get to the questions, I mean, like, I woke up today to some really cool shit, and I was actually kind of excited to talk about it. So when I think everybody goes through that when you actually like start putting your stuff out there as far as on social media. I mean, mine is that my ultimate goal is that I want to bring information out there or put information out there that wasn't available when I got started in entrepreneurship. And I don't see a lot of people putting information out there when it comes to small business, the service business, the small business entrepreneur. And it was kind of it took me a hot minute. I mean, when we started with Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies, it took me a good year before I actually kind of got comfortable with the camera and started warming up to it before I started posting as far as like on my personal brand. And as you start posting and as people start liking and following, I mean, you pick up some cool followers that are like what you're putting out there, they're resonating with. And then inevitably you pick up those jackholes that they've always got something smart ass to say. And I mean, I've heard it all. Apparently somehow I'm a scam artist, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm trying to scam. I mean, like, yeah, I'll sell you coffee or pizza, or I guess today I could sell you a website or some cool fucking apparel. But my point is like online, I'm like, I got nothing to sell you. It's not, I'm just simply putting my perspective out there and putting the videos out there. But then I get some other people that they want to act like they know me, and, oh, you just talking, you ain't nothing. You just own a coffee shop. And I'm like, yeah, what? I mean, everybody starts from somewhere. But so you get all kinds of DMs. But I woke up this morning to like a cool ass DM that just like, I'm like, you know what? When I get messages like this is what it's about. Like this was just, it made it in the moment. It was all worth it. And I'm gonna be honest, like this dude's in the UK, and I apologize, brother, because I would mutilate your name if I tried to pronounce it. So I'm going to skip his name because I mean, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way. But this was the message that I woke up to this morning. It says, "Dear Mr. Julius, my name is, I am an accounting and finance student from the UK. I have great aspirations for my future as I will become a very successful businessman. I recently came across your Instagram, and I aspire to be such an entrepreneur as yourself. My question is, are there any tips you would give your 19-year-old self, especially when it comes to business? Sincerely." And I thought, that was cool. Like, whatever I'm because like, I don't really pull any punches. I'm me, and that's the whole thing. It's like, I don't try and create content. I just press record on the damn camera, and I'm going to be me. And the video editor finds the 1-minute clips and he puts them out there. I mean, it's not a whole lot of editing. There's nothing really fancy. To see that like on the other side of the pond, that what I was putting out there was resonating with this dude. So here was my advice that I gave him. I said, the number one biggest tip that I would say is to make part of your daily habits to read 20 plus pages every day. Seek specialized education on specific information. Never be afraid to pay for information. If I could go back to 19 with that advice, I would already be a billionaire. Learn anything and everything you can with the mindset of learning something every day. Invest in yourself because knowledge can never be taken away from you. Develop the biggest hunger for information and learning that you can. Make it a daily habit. I wake up every day and I read as I drink my 3 cups of coffee, and I average 25 to 30 pages a day, and I listen to at least one podcast every day. And pay attention to your total health, mental, physical, dental, and gut health. Quality of life is more important than life itself. To which he responded, well, thanks for the wisdom. Keep up the amazing content on Instagram. And I'm like, you know what? All the little smart asses out there that want to chime in because they got nothing better to do than to try and talk smack to somebody else, which is a very good indication that they probably don't have shit going on in their own life. So they got nothing better to do than to judge somebody else that's just like legitimately just trying to put content out there with the hope of helping other people, because the pain of what I went through to get where I am is still very fresh in my mind, and where I am is not even close to where I know that I'm going. So I'm sitting there going, in my own mind, like, I mean, I didn't even really want to call myself an entrepreneur until I had broke 10 years, because it's like, you're a wantrepreneur. You're trying, but there's so much failure. There's so much carnage in the first 10 years that I'm like, no, I really didn't even want to give myself any type of level of respect for being a quote unquote entrepreneur until I broke that 10-year mark. And even today, I'm sitting there going, I don't got $1 million in the bank. I mean, the businesses are doing multi-million dollars. Great. Okay, so on some level, people will call that successful. That's like, for my vision of where we're going, that's not like I'm trying to build $1 billion brand. And I shouldn't even, and that the spelling and the self-talk, I'm not trying to do shit. I am doing. We are in the process of building a $1 billion nationwide brand. And you know what? Maybe I get to that point where I've got at least one operation, if not 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 operations in every state, that I would be looking back and thinking, okay, maybe but I still don't, like, I have not got where I'm going. So I don't necessarily look at myself in the mirror and think success, but I also know all those shit talkers out there that I know I'm further down the road than they are, but you tolerate them. And most of them I've gotten pretty good about just blocking or deleting and not buying into that negative.
You don't want to block them.
Really? Because it's like I don't want that negative energy, so I don't
ignore it, but you don't want to block them. Don't block them from the information.
If they're haters, it's like, you know what? F them. They don't deserve the information.
I mean, convert them.
Exactly.
You might convert them.
The haters, like, do I really want to convert them? Like, they're in the complete wrong mindset, and I don't.
They're in the wrong mindset today.
And I get that. But it's like, there are some of them that have said some shit that I'm like, dude, if you said that in front of my face, I'd put you on your back. Like, and it's that kind of stuff that I'm like, I don't have any toleration for it. So I, more often than not,
that's success.
I do block
You're not worried about that bail money.
No. No, that might be the anger issues that I once had that I have gotten under control over the last decade or two. But we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. That's everybody comes from a place, and I have grown and found a healthy mindset. That's I didn't walk through my 20s and 30s necessarily with the mindset of gratitude that I have now. I was going through a lot of shit and a lot of pain, and I wasn't overly grateful for it in the moment. I look back and I'm really grateful for it because, it led to a lot of lessons and thick skin and broad shoulders. But when I was going through it, I was finding it very hard to be grateful for being in that moment.
And that's where the haters are in a bad moment. So if you block them.
Yeah, but you know what? I never hated on anybody else. And
we didn't have the internet back then.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, there's a little bit of truth to that. That's
Didn't make good use of it.
yeah. Okay, so let's move on here because I don't know exactly where this is going to go, but I do believe it is time for a question from my co-hosts. The question would be who's going to step up and go first with presenting their question. There always seems to be like a awkward silence.
So tell me how your priorities have changed from when you first started.
Wow, how have my priorities changed? Okay, well, I mean, I can answer that a lot of ways. But I will say that, like, I've long said, like, if you need outside motivation, if you need somebody else to motivate you, you probably shouldn't be in entrepreneurship. That said, there are many ways that I have, let's just say, added fuel to my tank over the years. In the very beginning, like, you're not going to have anybody that's going to stand by you and support you in the beginning. They're going to be looking at you like, he's full of hot air. They're not. So in my perspective in the beginning was I want to prove all of these people wrong, because I did view it as like, you're not supporting me. So if you're not with me, you're against me. And if you're going to talk shit and tell me I can't do it, okay, well, I don't like being told no. And I don't like being told that I can't do something. For a long time, I said I made a career out of beating odds, but it was that fuel in the tank of proving everybody wrong. And over the years, I saw that as like it's healthy fuel. It burns hot. But I moved towards proving myself right. But the proving myself right was because I actively sought to educate myself. Through searching out information, it was like that knowledge is empowering. But when they say knowledge is power, knowledge is not power if you do not apply it and do something with it. So as I was gaining all of the knowledge and experience, as I was testing and going through all of the failures, and then inevitably finding those people that, I told you couldn't. Well, that's maybe I'm too dumb and stubborn. I don't know when to quit. I don't have the ability to not get back up and keep coming. So over the years, it really was I'll prove you wrong. And well, I proved so many people wrong that it was like, you know what? That's not even really fun anymore. It's not even a challenge. I mean, it's about proving myself right. It's about daring to think and dream as big as I can and a true feeling that my potential is limitless, and to chase that potential and to prove myself right. So over the years, it's just been growth. I mean, I have grown to find what I know or what I believe to be the healthiest mindset. I have grown through all of the mistakes where I'm not worried about what everybody else thinks. Like, I used to really care and let it get under my skin about what everybody else thinks. So through my habits and determination, I've realized that it has got me to better places so that I know that I'm doing the right things. So I'm less concerned with doing the wrong things because I know what the wrong things are. I'm more concerned with just doing the right things every day in a solid regimen and habit, because you can't just do the right things on one day then expect results. You have to stack habits and stack day upon day upon day, and then that gets you to a place of being competent and confident that you're on the right way, you're on the right path, and it's pursuing your potential. So I think my mindset has changed a lot. I mean, Rebecca's been the one that she's been with me for the last 10 years. I'm sitting there going, yeah, 10 years ago, I was probably still dead set on just proving the world wrong and pissed off at a lot of people for a lot of reasons. I mean, I don't know. Can you want to chime into that? Does that sound about right? I mean, I want to say that I think I've grown a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah, you have. You've grown a lot. Used to, yeah. fight like cats and dogs. Really, I mean, radios would go flying down the stairs, and
you know what? Okay,
Do say more.
Country music.
There's a story there. That was the thing.
Country music.
Look, because and I want to be for all you country music lovers out there today.
We love and respect you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, today's country music has changed, and I still I have an appreciation for all music, but my least favorite music is country music. Like I deplored country music back 10 years ago because it was always, buried my dog out back and my wife left, and it was just depressing as fuck. And I was like, I don't like the country music twang.
At least he didn't bury his wife in the back.
Yeah, no shit.
And the broken down truck.
Yeah, no, exactly. But the thing is that it got to a point where we were playing music in the store, and I'm like, cool, you guys can play music, and I try and let them have latitude about it, but I was like, no country music. And they said, why? I said, can you tell me any restaurant or any place of business that you hear country music being played outside of a country music bar?
Texas Roadhouse.
Look at,
You can send me a gift card.
Look at that. Look at ding, ding, ding. Okay. You weren't with me 10 years ago, so you weren't able to pop that off. But the point is they couldn't. They were like, okay. And I said, and I don't like country music. So music is very inspiring to me, and it's pleasant in the workplace. But at 10 years ago, I'm at that point, I'm still very active. Hell, I'm still legitimately like a barista working alongside of everybody, making the coffee, serving customers. And I'm like, and at that time too, I'm also still living under the place because I really couldn't afford to provide my own living situation. And it was, okay, the doors got to open. That's more important. So I lived under the damn thing for 6 years. The point being, I was living there, and I came upstairs one day, and I had done told them, no country music. And when I'm waking up and trying to get my cup of coffee, and I hear country music, and it set me off, and the damn radio went down the stairs before I did to make my point that I said, no country music. And apparently you didn't hear me, so now you won't be hearing no music. And yes, I chucked the whole radio down the stairs.
Was it your radio?
Actually, I think it was my radio, and I did not care. I was making the point that I do not want to wake up and hear country music when I was like, I'll let you guys play music, but this music really gets under my skin, and it brings out my worst, and I see no good reason to play it inside the stores, so please don't. And they wanted
the haters out there really want to get under your skin.
Man,
country music.
And buying the cowboy hat.
No. That's because don't get me wrong. Again, country music has changed, and I've heard some country music today that I'm like, I don't know that I'm loving it, but I like, you can feel the beat of it, and I'm kind of listen to the lyrics and be like, all right, that's cool. It was the old country twang that I'm like, man, that's just it's like nails on a chalkboard. Ammo. What's that?
So just keep giving them that ammo.
No.
They pull up playing Merle Haggard.
He's gonna call me screaming. The haters are out front blaring that country music.
No. That's please don't. I want to say don't poke the bear, but I mean, I'm like, no, I don't. I just, country music is not my favorite music, but I digress. Okay. So
moving on.
Thanks for the memory lane. Yeah, that's just very say. I completely forgot about that, but again, I've grown a lot.
Radio's down there.
I have read a couple hundred books since then. I have found healthier habits, and I do more now to relieve the stress and aggression, and yeah, I've grown.
Yeah. I don't see you doing that today.
No, not at all. I'd walk away, maybe scream outside and be like, but yeah, that's not good team building. No, and it wasn't back then either. And then you learn those lessons the hard way.
Not a good day.
No, it wasn't. It was not a good day when that. No, it was
no
not.
Smiles that day.
No,
couldn't even turn the radio on.
No, got to break the tension. Yeah. No, I was like in a couple pieces, but I made it. Yeah, I made a point. And there wasn't no more country music.
To this day, country music still does not play in one store.
Oh no, I tell him, turn that off before he walks in the door.
Yeah.
See, phones being flying.
Wow. Okay. Next question.
You want to go? You want me to go?
I don't have my question yet, so you go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm going.
She calls it diversion.
Solid tactic. I like it. All right. Well, let's get the JP on how you feel. Being in business 17 years, you've trained a lot of people throughout the years. Some of those people have become competitors. And I just wanted to get your perspective on how you feel about that whole scenario.
Short answer, water's warm. Come on in. Long answer. Again, we go back to I've grown. I've grown. In the very beginning, I mean, I was paranoid about that stuff. And I was just very paranoid about anybody stealing the trade secrets, and you're in the beginnings of business and you start thinking about corporate espionage and I'm like, and I realize, I look back and I'm like, it's a fucking coffee shop. I mean, but the point is that when I started business and realized that Starbucks had developed their own language, well, I was like, well, two can play at this game. So I started developing my own language. I started developing a very specialty branded menu built of concoctions that I protect those recipes pretty dearly. I mean, they're specialty branded. The mixtures are ours. And yeah, I'm not going to deny. I've had people that I've trained and they've went into competition against me. And I've had people that I've quote unquote inspired, and they've went into or they've tried to some semblance of competition. And I would take the shit personal because I take it all personal. I've told everybody, like I created the brand and the business due to the loss of my son. So every time I look around and I see red in the stores, I know that I chose the red because of Connor, and I take it all personal. Over the years, like I've told everybody, 9 out of 10 fail in the first year, and of the one that makes it, 9 out of 10 fail in the first 10 years. And getting through that first 10 years was like a major milestone for me. And I realized how fucking hard it is to make it through 10 years in business. So I looked at it as I started to round that corner, and I was like, I don't need to be paranoid. I got into business to compete. And the averages and the laws of success, they're all against you. They're against all of us. 1% makes it past year 10. So if you go in business, all odds are against you. So I looked at these people and I'm like, well, if you're not original enough to come up with your own shit, that you literally have to steal my ideas to go out and open a business. Like I had one girl literally go compete, and when she got her name in the paper, she was like, it has always been a lifelong dream of mine to open up a coffee shop. And I'm like, you stole all my shit. I trained you. Everything that you know, you learned from me. But at the end of it all, I'm like, you know what? Anybody that opens up the doors, 99% of them fail. If you have the mental fortitude and the cojones to actually be able to stand the test of time, well, you know what? I salute you, because it's hard. So that's why I say water's warm. Come on in. I got into business knowing it was capitalism, knowing I was getting into business to compete. You cannot choose who your competitor. I mean, I guess you can choose who your competitors are by the industry that you get into. But in any industry, businesses come and go because most businesses fail and do not stand the test of time. So anybody that wants to throw their name in the hat, I'm like, you better understand, dude, this is a marathon, and I've been running this thing for a long time. And when you start running, you if you stop, well, then it was all for nothing.
And you've learned a few things.
And the thing is, it was a huge realization for me that these people are going to do this, so don't worry about them. Just continue. Like, I trust my own innovation. I trust my own originality. I don't need to steal somebody else's ideas. I look out into the world and I see what everybody's doing in general, so that I know what's trending, what is popular out there. But I mean, hell, there was another business that started up in my hometown, and they came through my drive-thru and started pumping my girls for information on my products and my recipes. And at the moment, I was ready to go threaten them. But at this point, I'm sitting there going, you know what? Like, don't get me wrong. I tell all of my employees, like, you sign non-disclosure agreements. I'm not okay with what I've developed being put out there, but the low character people that are stealing it to go into business, I'm like, well, even the best of the best, 99 out of 100 fail. And if your low character ass is coming through trying to figure out how to build your business off of stealing shit from me, the likelihood that you're actually going to succeed and stand the test of time, slim to none. So, and I know it's a painful journey, so I've got more aptitude just to laugh at you and be like, man, I hope that you enjoy pain, because it's just like the intro that we're playing. Like, I wanted that intro because I think it perfectly defines entrepreneurship, and it's 50% pain. And you better develop a high tolerance for pain. You better almost find a certain amount of appreciation for pain. And I'm not saying that you should be like a masochist, but I'm sitting there going, generally pain teaches you lessons, and you either buckle to that pain or you learn the lesson to get a little bit of relief from the pressure. And just sizing people up. I'm not special, but I'm different. And I know damn well most people cannot withstand the pain and over the test of time. Sooner or later, it breaks them down. And then that's where I got you. Because at this point, I don't break down. If I was going to break down, they would have broke me down in the first 10 years. I'm not going to break down. And this is a marathon. So you might have a winning day or a winning year, but I'm not closing my doors. You will compete against me every single day until you decide to quit, because I'm not quitting. And I don't need your dumbass ideas. I have plenty of my own. I enjoy the creativity. I love testing. I love implementing. I love exploring all the different possibilities that are out there. So if you're just trying to copy off of me, I'm like, sorry, I think my innovation, my originality, my creativity is going to win the day. And my determination and my stubbornness, that I'm like, I'll put that up against you, but at the same time, I'm not concerned about you. I'm just going out there to compete in the world of business, because my dad was like, well, in order to be successful selling coffee, you got to have a strong passion for coffee. And I'm like, Dad, I don't have a strong passion for coffee. I have a strong passion for business, for being in business, for being an entrepreneur. Now, I say all that like I love my coffee. like at this day and age, like, I love my coffee. But did I get into the business because I loved coffee? Hell no. I saw Starbucks selling a freaking cup of coffee for $4 and $5, and I was like, that's not your mom and pop 50-cent cup of coffee. You can build a business when somebody's willing to pay $4 and $5 for a cup of coffee. I saw the business aspect of it. I saw that you could legitimately find a profit when you could sell a cup of liquid for $4 and $5. And I jumped in with both feet and figured it out. So the other people that they want to figure it out, well, you better have strong, healthy habits, because I've developed strong, healthy habits. You would better have an internal drive that doesn't shut off, because that's what I've got. And if you're going to get out there and compete, that's exactly what you're competing in. And it does not matter if it's me or in another town. There's somebody like me in another town that feels the same way, and they're up for that challenge. So you better, you can be, I just always wanted to open up a coffee shop. No, you'd better be always wanting to compete. You'd better be always wanting to explore that drive and chase your potential, understanding that it is limitless and that you're going to get knocked down and you're going to get black eyes and you're going to get broken legs, and you still have to get up and keep coming.
Was that a threat?
Oh, no, not at all. Back up. I'm saying I have been knocked down hard enough to where I feel like I've about had to heal every broken bone in my body, but I never stopped getting up. And that
was on the phone like,
that is
clarify that one.
entrepreneurship. No, you totally went down the wrong rabbit hole. That is not at all what I was trying to imply. It is a battle. It is rough. It is constant every day. It does not stop. The problems do not stop. Even when you close your open sign for the end of the day, the problems still come at you, and you still have to get up the next day and turn on that open sign the next day. And the problems still never stop. From dumb problems, I mean, leaky water faucets, to dumbass excuses from employees, to dealing with vendors, to dealing with government entities, to taxes, licenses, regulations. I mean, people acting stupid, customers having a bad day and taking it out on you, equipment failure. Like, any one of 1,000 things can happen on any given day. And
Like today.
right, that's
One couldn't show up, so we had one person in there with a trainee, and then the CO2 thing started going off. The espresso machine wasn't working, and the system went down, so we didn't even have our POS system up and working. Kylie dealt with all of that first thing out of the gate.
you see, and that's
And none of them called me.
No, we fixed it.
that. You know what? That is a round of applause, because I had to deal with every single bit of that every day, nonstop, for a good 12 or 13 years. And then when I brought Matt in, it was like, okay, it's time to turn over some of these problems to Matt. So he went through several years of that, and finally he was like, God damn, they'll call me at all hours. Yeah, I know. The problems never stop. And that is what breaks people. So you feel like you want to compete, man, you better be strong-minded. Better have a high tolerance for pain. And if you're going to survive, a high thirst for information and knowledge and learning, and sometimes learning the hard way. What do you, I mean, that's, water's warm. You want to come compete. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. And that's the thing right there, is that, I'll be honest, if that information was actually out there in this manner and I really took all that shit into consideration, like, I walked away from a very good job at Chrysler to do this. You know what? My whole thing is that I would have retired just shy of 50 years old, and I committed to working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, until I turned 50, because I wanted the apples to apples comparison. Did I make the right move by leaving Chrysler? And I'm pretty confident that I'm 47 now. I got 3 more years.
3 years.
Yeah. And I'm like, so, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I turn 50 today, it'd be pretty easy for me to make that apples to apples comparison and be like, dollars to dollars, I made the right decision. But I went through a good decade plus worth of pain that I never would have had to endure had I stayed at Chrysler. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of work to be done in the next 3 years in order for the bank account to be so fat that it's like, yeah, there's a no-brainer. It was the right decision. But again, I digress. Where we went down a rabbit hole. So we have one final question from the Rebecca. So we will. What do you got for me? I mean.
Well, you were going down the road of, you were almost answering my question, so I guess you put the cart before the horse.
Chicken before the egg.
The egg before the chicken?
Yeah, I know. Tomato.
Tomatoes, of course.
Okay.
We're in Indiana.
Yeah. And there's more than corn in Indiana, by the way.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, there's race cars and there's coffee junkies.
News to me.
With the race car part?
And coffee junkie.
No. All right. It sounds like you're going to keep me going down a rabbit hole.
In the whole marathon that you were racing all these years, and I don't know that you would feel. So the question is, was there any point in time where you can look back and say, yeah, I chose this dirt road, rocky road, obstacles in my way, had to pave my own dang road? Is there ever a time when you thought, I should have went a different direction?
Every day.
When he hired me.
It's funny because I'm laughing because I'm like, it's such a loaded question. Like, she knows the answer to this question. I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't doubt myself. I doubted myself 1,000 times. I'm not going to say that I didn't. It's like when the walls start coming in from all sides, you start to break. I mean, I can remember nights of I could not wait to lock the doors so that I could go swim in a bottle. And I can remember those nights where she would come down and she would check on me and she'd be like, take your moment, but failure's not an option, and I'll be down here to collect you tomorrow.
Failure's never been an option.
It never has. It never has. But have I got all up in my feelings from time to time, and due to the frustration of all the problems and all of the stupid shit you've got to deal with from just people and different personalities and different problems that never stop? Yeah, that's the shit that breaks you down. Yeah, many times. You know how many times, no shit, I walked away from a real good job at Chrysler. When I say real good job, I had almost 14 years in, and everything in Chrysler is based on seniority. I put my time in. I had 90% of the entire corporation under me in seniority. Like, Chrysler would have had to completely shut all plants before I would have been out of a job. And in Kokomo and inside that transmission plant, I had my pick. I had my pick of the best jobs out there, and easily able to make 75 to 100K a year. You got to work some overtime, but really I wasn't breaking a sweat. And I wasn't doing some of the shittier jobs that I remember doing in my earlier years there as I was putting my time in. But I look back and I'm like, yeah, Jesus, 100 times that I thought, God, why did I do that? I wish I wouldn't have done that. And you know what? To be more like on a serious note and more personal, I don't tell this story too often. So things got bad. Things got bad to the point that it was a question, am I going to have money to buy cigarettes? Am I going to have to choose between putting something in my stomach as food as opposed to cigarettes? And I thought, you know what? I can go back and get another job. And one of my favorite jobs as a kid was that I worked at Outback. I remember enjoying it, and I remember being good at it, and it was food, and I knew that I could always go back to Outback. And how long would I work there? Don't know. It was an option in the back of my head. Well, it had just gotten so bad and the money was so tight that I was resolved. Okay. I can go work 8 hours a day at Outback, and I can work 8 hours a day inside of here and try and run this business. So I went to apply at Outback. Well, I come to find out that the old days of going in and writing out a handwritten application, because I tried reaching out to one of my old mentors, John Benjamin. He brought the first Outback to Indiana because it was a franchise that actually came out of Florida, and he opened up on the south side of Indianapolis. Well, I reached out to him, and he was like, dude, that's not what they do anymore. You gotta fill out your application online. You got to take a personality assessment. Okay. I used to work there. I've been in business for, I don't know how many years it was, but at that point, I want to say we'd been in business at least 6-7 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. But the point is, I thought, well, I've got all these qualifications, so I filled out the personality assessment. Nothing. So I called him. I'm like, I was no longer Outback material. That was the lowest. That was, for me, hitting rock bottom. That I had resolved myself that I was willing to go back to food service, working inside of Outback just to get some monetary relief and still keep the doors open. And Outback didn't want me. And it was like, shit, this is it. I'm either going to make it or I'm screwed because Outback doesn't even want me. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know exactly when you start looking back at that time frame when the turn started to happen, but somewhere in that it was like a realizing of this is it. I made my bed, lie in it, suffer in it, figure out how to make it comfortable, get comfortable with the pain, do what you've got to do to fix your shit. And I do believe that somewhere around that, because I've fell in and out over the years, I fell in and out of reading. And it was one of those where I do remember that there was a good clip of time where down in that basement you'd come down, and I had started to actually get back into the books.
We'd have story time.
Yes, honestly. And it was, that's why I've long said, I have been able to move the business forward, generally speaking, every time that I got into a solid pattern of reading. The obtaining of knowledge and just the mental growth and feeling like I was able to take those principles and apply them in the here and now. Every time that I got back into reading, business improved. Everything improved. I mentally improved. I was able to improve as a leader. I was able to grow the team, and we ultimately grew the customer base. But it really legitimately took me hitting such a rock bottom that here I am, a full-blown adult, and Outback doesn't want me. And
I hope some data specialist for Outback was like, pulling up the personality test and be like, what failed this guy?
Yeah, that's and that's there we go back to the I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason, and it's part of my history. I mean, I didn't have no shame. I was willing to go back to work for Outback, whatever it took to live to fight another day. But yeah, I would say that was probably the lowest point where. Even at that point, I wasn't really necessarily willing to throw in the towel, but I was willing to look another direction. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's I promise you, your everything will be tested if you should so decide to throw your name in the hat as an entrepreneur. Your will be tested in every way. All right, that's 3. And the dude that sent me the instant message today, thank you very much. I appreciated that. But that's we're going to wrap up the Q and JP. I want to encourage everybody. I'm not again. As a guy, I want to build shit, and I want to build this podcast, and I do think that in the midst of the comedy and everything, that I'm really sincerely trying to put good information out there. So please share the show, rate the show, leave your comments. I take criticism. I like to think of it as constructive criticism, but I think that I take criticism a whole lot better today than I did 10 years ago. So I will take all of the reviews and the comments, but please share the show. Until next time, you guys have a good night.